Okay, this is an inferences question. In their book, Smart Pricing, such and such consider musicians' use of the non-traditional pay-as-you-go wish pricing model. What's that? This model generally offers listeners the choice to pay more or less than a suggested price for a song or album, or even pay nothing at all. Okay, so this is kind of where I've seen this, where you can pay for it or not pay for it. It's almost like you decide what's the appropriate price. Now, a lot of jerks will just not pay for it, but then some people will come in and actually pay for it because they appreciate what they have or are provided with. So as the authors note, that's the option most listeners chose for an album by the band. Okay, Harvey Danger, so a particular band. Only about 1% opted to pay for the album, right? 99% didn't pay. Cheap. Resulting in earnings below the band's expectations. Okay, not surprising, but the author also discusses musician Jane Siberry, another musician who saw significant earnings from her pay-as-you-wish online music stores as a result of many listeners choosing to pay more than the store's suggested prices. Okay, so she had much more loyal and better customers. Hence, the pay-as-you-wish model may work in some cases. It's not all cheapskates that are trying to get the music for free. Some people actually will pay and appreciate for that. So prove financially successful for some musicians, but disappointing for others. Yes, that's exactly what the text demonstrates up above. That's going to be right. B, hold greater financial appeal for bands than for no, nothing about bands versus individual. False comparison. Cause most musicians. We don't know about most. Again, that's an extreme word, which is not covered in the text. Who use the model to lower prices? No, we don't know anything about that. More strongly reflect differences in certain musicians' popularity than traditional. No, we don't even know about that. It's not this model versus traditional. We haven't really seen any comparisons in the text. So B, C, and D are wrong. A is definitely the correct answer. Okay, we've got to complete the text, fill in the underlined portion that reconciles kind of the two logical ideas we'll pull out of the text here, and then we'll predict our answer and find which is correct. So let's check it. Arthur Conan Doyle's stories about Detective Sherlock Holmes were published between 1887 and 1927. They have inspired countless successful adaptations, including comic strips, movies, television series. Sherlock Hound, directed by such and such, who is celebrated for his animated movies. Until 2014, these stories were copyrighted. The right to adapt was only available to those who could afford the copyright fee and gain approval from the strict copyright holders. So costly, expensive, before 2014. Okay. Some journalists predict that the number of Sherlock Holmes adaptations is likely to increase since the end of the copyright means that. Okay, so the claim here is more adaptations are coming. So guess what? We're about to be overwhelmed with Sherlock Holmes. Why? Because it means that the dollar cost will be affordable. If it wasn't affordable before, after the copyright expires, it will become affordable. So Doyle's original series will become hard to find. No, they'll become easier to find, I think. People will become more interested in detective stories than they were. No, it's not about people becoming more interested. These are just not the right ideas. The idea, again, is before 2014, copy, very difficult and expensive to reproduce and adapt. Afterward will be much more affordable, therefore the claim it's likely to increase the number of adaptations. So producing adaptations will become easier and less expensive. That's exactly our prediction, the best right answer. The former copyright holders will return fees. No, they're not going to return anything. Are you kidding me? C is the right answer. Logically completes the text. We'll have to fill in the underlined portion with a prediction. One aspect of in-person shopping that online shopping can't replicate Is the opportunity to touch a product before buying it. Yeah, anytime I buy clothes, that's a real problem. I have to fit them right. Does this matter? In an experiment, researchers asked one group of participants to touch a mug and a toy, while another group was prohibited from touching the two items. The participants were then asked how much money they'd pay for the items. People who got to touch the items were willing to pay much more money for them than were people who weren't allowed to touch the items. This finding suggests that interaction adds perceived value, would be my guess. And I've seen that before. If you're there, you kind of buy on the impulse, you touch it, you feel it, you know what you're getting. Online, you're not sure. I don't know why they use mugs. They should have used clothing. That would be a better example. But let's find the right answer. Stick to the topic. A, people who mainly shop online probably spend more money every month. No, this is nothing about that. That's irrelevant to our question. In-person shopping may make products seem more valuable than they seem if only viewed online. Yes. That's right. That's what this suggests. Let's just check C and D. C, retailers with in-person and online stores should charge the same price. No, nothing about retailers that have both. That's not discussed in the passage. No evidence for that. Online retailers may be able to raise prices they charge for products that are only available online. Well, no. Why is that? There's no valid conclusion that leads you to that conclusion. No. B is correct. This suggests in-person shopping make it seem more valuable than just online. Logically completes the text. Let's read the whole passage and figure out what should the underlined section be and use that prediction to answer the question. Archaeologists have been debating the origin of a rare form of lead found in Shang Dynasty bronze artifacts since it was discovered in China since the 1990s. Okay. So since the 1990s, there's been a rare form of lead we know about in the bronze artifacts from this period. Okay. Different researchers have proposed theories on which regions of the world would have had the raw materials containing this specific lead in these artifacts. So there are different theories of where it came from. So we have the bronze, as we think about it, and we have different places or sources potentially. Okay, that led to that bronze in the Shang Dynasty. But there's no conclusive evidence that's been presented. What is intriguing is that bronze artifacts from China dated after the Shang Dynasty do not contain this form of lead, suggesting that. So after the Shang Dynasty, there's no lead. So there are different sources before or during the Shang Dynasty of this lead, and then after the Shang Dynasty, there's none of the lead. So what would we conclude from that? This suggests that the lead, whatever the source was that went away, right? The source disappeared. Wherever the source or sources were, they disappeared after Shang Dynasty. I think that's kind of the only thing we could conclude from those two statements of facts. So A, Shang Dynasty bronze pieces are rare and therefore more valuable. Nope, nothing says anything about value. The source of some of the raw materials used to make bronze was exploited only until the end of the Shang Dynasty. Yes, it went away. I think that's going to be our answer. I'm going to circle that, but let's check C and D. Bronze was used for a short time period during the Shang Dynasty before different metals. Oh, no. Okay. Yes, the Bronze Age was replaced by the Iron Age, etc. We know that, but this is not the idea of the text. D. Methods used to analyze bronze artifacts are not useful on... No. Okay. It's not that we can't actually test things after the Shang Dynasty period. B is the correct answer.